just pick up on one point. I did see something recently. I think it was a tool called, and it was checking copyrighted text within ChatGPT and OpenAI. And from its tool, it said that 44% of the prompts they tested had copyrighted material in them.
ISO released an updated version, an AI management system, and in typical ISO fashion, it was a sledgehammer. So what we did was we took the best parts from the ISO AI policy, we made it a little more readable, and then we created a custom GPT off the back of that policy. So you don't have to read through the whole thing, you can just ask it questions.
And one of our internal comms courses we do with the IOIC, the fabulous people over there, we asked a question about, was AI killing creativity? Interesting responses, right? No one was in the middle, were they? There was very kind of polarized, wasn't it? But most people were like...
Fear of AI, albeit slowly, is reducing in terms of what we're seeing. And 2024 feels like it's going to be the year of the AI budget. I think into April, you're going to see a lot of companies wanting to invest in the right areas to speed up things and save money. They're super excited for that. Okay.
Welcome to the...
Roy.
It's not going to work, is it?
I'm over here, mate. Roy.
I can't. What's going on?
He's two left.
We can't. I can't move.
It's an AI world, mother.
It's not going to happen.
It's an AI world, brother.
None of this AI stuff. It's about real world, isn't it?
I mean, you are better looking at the wall from that side. That was the only benefit.
It's been mentioned a couple of times, that.
But
my right side's my best side, so let's stick with this bit. I can only look left, being a lefty.
You can only turn left,
I can only turn left. Very good. So yeah, very good. We're back. We're back in the same seats.
We are back in the same seats.
For our next podcast. For anyone who hasn't met us before, we're Generate. This is Tom. We've got brains and looks. No one seems to know which one's which, though, which is kind of weird.
No, that's it. 1 out of 2 ain't bad, though, is it?
Do you like my top?
Your top? It's wonderful. Yes, wonderful.
Thank you.
Suits you.
I liked your shirt last time. That was quite funny. Your comic timing's not quite as good as mine. Some would argue.
I mean, when you say you liked it, I don't think you paused for a millisecond before you said no.
That is true.
Like, not even to pretend to think about it.
I'm too old to muck around, mate.
Yeah.
Don't need to be doing that.
Yeah. That's...
So welcome everyone, Generate. So myself and Tom, we run Generate, a new type of consultancy, AI and Web3. We're here to do things better and faster than traditional consultancies. We don't muck around, we don't do PowerPoints, we do real world stuff, right? Strategy, understanding and acting on AI and Web3 for our clients, and moving really fast in a very fast moving environment, right?
Yeah.
And what are we now, 9 months in?
9 months.
Summer?
9 months, it's a baby.
Going really well. Very interesting client base. We're working in food and beverage, in healthcare, in professional services, a whole bunch of stuff, right?
Yeah, really good. Yeah, good broad mix, and we've surprisingly managed to do really good work as well, haven't we?
Yeah.
I mean, flipping heck.
Well,
this stuff works if implemented and done in the right way in the right areas.
If done correctly, yeah. But that's been the fascinating thing, though, isn't it? That's the fascinating thing about starting something new. So and if you've done it before, which we have, we've built businesses, you can avoid generally the massive kind of potholes. Of course, as we've talked about before, doing that is a trick, but it gets you there quicker. And using the tools in the right way as well. And having oversight in the AI tools too, very important, because obviously we're eating our own dog food. So that's been really interesting, isn't it? Yeah. And the conversations we've been having, absolutely fascinating, across HR, ops, finance, creative in-house agencies, internal communications and marketing. It's been a good ride so far, right?
Totally. Well, fear of AI, albeit slowly, is reducing in terms of what we're seeing. The interest and drive from the top of companies to look at how they can use it in a thoughtful, strategic way is there. And 2024 feels like it's going to be the year of the AI budget. I think into April, you're going to see a lot of companies wanting to invest in the right areas to speed up things, and save money, and also to to get new insight, to make better decisions, you know, to build different customer experiences on a front end. And we're super excited for that. So
Yeah. It's really interesting, isn't it?
I've got a new bottle, by the way.
Have you?
Yeah, look. Cactus, Agency Growth Advisory and M&A. It's very nice, isn't it? We like the Cactus guys. I had a bottle like this, by the way, after the Cactus event a couple of years ago. They gave out free drinks bottles. Really nice. Kept it. I used it, I'm not kidding, every day for about a year and a half. Battered old thing in the end. I dropped it. It was like the Leaning Tower of Pisa.
I remember it.
But I loved it. Sent Spencer, one of the founders of Cactus, sent Spencer a photo of it and just said, mate, this was one of the best free giveaways at an event I've ever got, by the way. Thank you. Week later, new bottle turned up. Not bad, huh?
Wait, is this a paid advert?
Pretty good. Well, I've sent him a picture of my battered MacBook, and I'm just seeing what turns up next week. So fingers crossed.
I've sent him an NVIDIA chip picture, so hopefully he might do that.
But you've got a battered old NVIDIA chip.
I've got a picture of one.
Oh, you got a picture of one, okay.
What I haven't got is a bottle, interestingly.
Oh.
But let's see.
Let's see.
Let's see what happens.
I'll tell you what I did see, sorry, in other news, Steve Norrie, who's got like
AI
a
guy.
gazillion followers on LinkedIn or whatever, the AI guy, he was unboxing an NVIDIA, I think it was a 4090.
Is he really?
Some serious bit of kit, and I watched him do it, and I was slightly turned on by it.
That is niche, but I think it's growing. Hey, grow it. That was good.
Yeah, it was very good, actually. Shout out to Steve.
Come on. That was pretty good.
Yeah, it was very good.
That's all gone really good.
Right.
One thing I want to bring up quickly, it's fascinating talking to people, isn't it, about and clients and brands about AI. And in one of our internal comms courses we do with the IOIC, the fabulous people over there for internal comms, we're training, 45, 50 brands at the minute on AI. We asked a question about, was AI killing creativity, didn't we? Interesting responses, right? So it isn't. No one was in the middle, were they? There was very kind of polarized, wasn't it? But most people were like, yeah, I think it's going to enhance creativity, not kill it.
Yeah, there was a split, wasn't there? Yeah, there was. I think nearly half thought no. A decent chunk didn't know yet where it was going to go, but very few thought it was killing creativity. So yeah, it was really interesting, man. I love that. That's a good topic of debate. You could do a whole pod on is AI killing creativity. Yeah,
and it's interesting, isn't it, that sometimes in different businesses you find the pushback in the areas you wouldn't expect it.
Yeah,
and that can be not always brilliant. You know, we've done creative work ourselves plenty of times, and we have lots of good designers we work with and so on. But sometimes a creative kind of mindset can be, I'm not using those tools. That tools are here to take my job.
Yeah.
And as we mentioned with things like Sora and some of the new tools coming out, that's going to be interesting to see where those kind of jobs go. My view is, of course, that's just augmenting, and there's always going to be a need for creativity within humans and oversight. But we'll see where it goes.
Yeah, completely. Yeah. Well, and there's a couple of things off that where we had a conversation with somebody who was comparing the new AI image and video tools to like Napster. And, and there are comparisons to Napster, for sure, if you take like Midjourney or Fireflies. And there are, but it's different, right? It is different fundamentally. It isn't Napster where music from an artist was then being shared with everybody. What we've got with generative AI is we have, let's call it inspiration from many, many sources being put into a melting pot, and then somebody adding a prompt or a direction or a creative route onto that melting pot, stirring it up, and out comes a brand new image. Now that is very different from Napster. That isn't sharing a specific piece of art with a million people. No, it's not. It's something completely different. And creativity itself is getting inspiration from multiple different places and putting those things together. So I'm not on one side or the other. I think artists should be paid for their work, and I think people should be allowed to say, I don't want this to go into training data, by the way. But if I go and paint a picture and I've looked at several different bits of art and I've taken inspiration from each of those and put it into my picture, I'm not infringing on copyright there. Yeah. So it's an interesting and it's a nuanced area that is going to need work. And yes, people need the rights to say, I don't want this in there, or I want to be protected, but it isn't the same as what we've had before. Yeah. Let's be clear about that.
Well, that brings up another interesting point, isn't it, around poisoning and the ability for some artists to use a tool, which you've come across, haven't you?
Yeah, the Nightshade tool.
With the Nightshade tool. So how does that work?
Well, so this through code can basically poison AI imagery, right? So it can identify it, and it can then right. Let me explain it first. You can put an identifier in one of your images, and if that image is used to create a generative image, it basically poisons the output, right? So, and we'll put a link up and some more information about it there. But so, and that's a fight back against using these images to go into this, as we said, this melting pot or this new mixer to produce an output. But, there was a court case recently where the judge ruled in favor of AI, saying you couldn't specifically identify where information had come from to produce this new image. And therefore, these artists didn't actually have a right to claim. Now, is that going to be the first of many, or are we going to see, I don't know what we're going to see. I think we're going to see that change over time pretty quickly. But it's a fascinating area to keep on top of. I mean,
copyright itself is not fit for purpose, right? 1988, it's gone back for years. It's ridiculous. So that's going to change. But just pick up on one point. I did see something recently. I think it was a tool called Patronus AI, and it was checking copyrighted, I think it was just text, within ChatGPT and OpenAI. And from its tool, it said that 44% of the prompts they tested had copyrighted material in them.
In the prompts?
In the outputs.
Oh, in the outputs?
Yeah.
Oh, right.
Interesting, yeah. Not quite sure. I haven't looked into it.
Yeah.
I will do. But that's an interesting stat I came across. So like I say, it's a big area, right?
Yeah.
Lots of court cases, obviously upcoming EU law, UK governance. Recently, the government didn't go into copyright. They were going to, and they actually pulled it. Lots of things happening, but it's such a fast-moving space. But the questions are really interesting, aren't they?
Yeah, questions are interesting. And, is AI killing creativity? I don't know if it's killing creativity. Back to that question. It's enabling many more people to be averagely creative. That's what it is doing. And if you're on LinkedIn and you're posting stuff directly from ChatGPT, we can see you and everybody knows you're doing it.
Quite.
It's not a mystery, right? I think we've seen enough now. I'm going to start a new group called AI Anonymous for those who, can't stop posting just the export of ChatGPT response onto LinkedIn. So it's a group, it's quite a big group actually.
It's the world.
But you can recommend somebody and we will help them get better, okay? Yeah. We will help them realize they do have some original thoughts of their own and they can use the tool, but you can also craft the output yourself at the end, right?
Yeah, that is interesting. We had a comment in one of the brand conversations we're having about the tools making you lazy.
Yeah.
But it's because they're so easy to use. But again, if you don't have the right process in place and you don't have the right sort of prompting as well in order, rubbish in, rubbish out, it's not going to help because that infinite canvas challenge, there is the challenge of the blank canvas and getting started. There's also the challenge of you've got 1,000 channels to watch at night time. You pick nothing. In fact, one of our FX Digital great guys, we kind of bunk in with them as well in their office in town in Old Street. Have a thing. The two of the founders have a thing called linear TV because they're a great business, right? They're working connected TV every day, which is great, and they're doing very well. But they go home and they just watch the top 5 channels and they do appointment TV. That's brilliant.
They've gone
genius
back.
Idea. I love
genius.
It.
They are
such
genius.
a good idea.
Legends, those boys. Linear TV is wicked, isn't it? Are we going to see the start of a trend of going back to linear TV?
AI Anonymous, linear TV. There's absolutely the anti is always not a bad place to be.
Yeah.
But I think it's the tools in the right order, in the right place, with the right process, as we always talk about, with the human oversight and the thoughtfulness, brilliant. The other side is what we're talking about, which is like rubbish.
Yeah.
The internet's full of rubbish, which actually, just the last point of creativity is it makes the bar higher. But that, I think, helps humans to kind of evolve creatively anyway. Because if there's a load of rubbish out there, you have to cut through the noise, which for brands and people and designers, etc., is, well, you have to be brilliant, right? It's a table stakes thing now. You can't put out rubbish content because AI is going to swamp it. It's already there, right? So I think it helps.
Yeah, exactly. Right, building in public. We have been doing a few things, one of which was we have a policy document that we've an AI policy that we help clients put together. ISO released an updated version, an AI management system, and in typical ISO fashion, it was a sledgehammer. If you ever need something to get to sleep at night, that did it for us, didn't it?
We've built a bot for that.
So yeah, exactly. So what we did was we took the best parts from the ISO AI policy. We made it a little more readable. We put it into a slightly more heavyweight policy of our own, and then we created a custom GPT off the back of that policy. So you don't have to read through the whole thing. You can just ask it questions, and you can also give it some more context and ask it to write some outputs for you as a business if you need help crafting your policy. And what we're tending to see work quite well is that there is an overarching, slightly more comprehensive policy for businesses that covers all departments, and then departmentally, there's a lighter weight version that is more specific to them. And I think we'll see that trend continuing. Because different departments are going to be using different tools and different ways of working and all sorts. But if you want to jump on and use it, we'll put the link up. Go and test it out. If you need an AI policy, you can get on there.
Yeah, we're doing a lot of that, and it's becoming more, not complex, but more comprehensive. And the questions are more detailed, aren't they? 6, 7 months, 8 months ago, what was the often mentioned stat? 20% of business don't have an AI policy. Most businesses probably do now. But again, it's like by department, by use case, overarching governance and so forth. So that's really interesting, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. And then the implementation or the governance aspect of that as well. We've put a system and an offer together for that because I think, it's one thing getting a policy together, which still takes quite a lot of work, but implementing that policy takes time, and so we have a way where we work with businesses every quarter, either on the end of their board meeting or leadership meeting, where we go and run an AI governance section to make sure departments are aligned, they're sharing knowledge, they're asking the right questions, they're updating their policy if it needs to be updated as they go, and they're mitigating risk and also getting the most out of what they need to.
Yeah, new offer, working pretty well, quite a lot of interest in it, and that I think it's a common thing is that AI officer role, which not a lot of businesses have. Some people have. Obviously, it's going down that route. Is one way of doing it, and actually using people like us to come in and just oversee that on an ongoing basis. Also useful too, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, feel free to contact us if you're interested in that.
Super.
Bad AI.
In a world of Willy Wonka. I want to talk about Willy Wonka.
Go on.
If I get any opportunity to talk about Willy Wonka, I fucking love Willy Wonka. It was my favourite film growing up. I will raise hands to any man or woman who says that Gene Wilder isn't the best Willy Wonka ever. Ever.
I mean, it's
Johnny Depp.
Worth fighting over that.
No.
Yeah.
What's the other? Timothy Chalamet, no. So.
I haven't seen the latest one.
Some other weirdo, I don't know who did it before. Child catcher, different thing. So, Willy Wonka. Brilliant. This is a great story. So, bad AI, Willy Wonka. So, if you don't know, there's a great story. There was an event ran in Glasgow, sunny Glasgow, for a Willy Wonka event. Great. It wasn't the best ran event and ended up looking something like an abandoned caravan park with a warehouse from Detroit in 1987, right? It just looked brutal. There was 3 balloons, a couple of lollipops, and a jelly baby for each child. No Willy Wonka stuff. Okay, so that's kind of funny. But the AI bit here is what was produced for the event. All the material that's produced for the event was AI generated. Now, we know AI pretty well. We would spot it straight away. But it looks fantastic. This would be something, if you didn't want to, you go, I'm going there. This looks brilliant. So the use of AI in that case was great. The reality was slightly different. So that was kind of funny. The other parts that were also quite amusing were that the person had obviously gone into ChatGPT, not followed our process we talked about before, about thoughtfulness, process, how it works, and so forth. Banged out a prompt, which I could only imagine was something like, do something like Willy Wonka so I don't get sued, and then proceeded to create a script, which you could only describe as gobbledygook, said by the actors. There was a new character called the Unknown. Now, I don't get nightmares, but having seen the Unknown appearing from behind a mirror, and we'll show that too, I'm sure, the scariest thing I've seen probably since your shirt in the last episode. Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. So I think that there's a market there for rubbish events created by AI that look amazing. It's niche, but I'm willing to set one up.
Yeah. So I think back to is AI killing creativity? We can say no, not yet.
It's not killing creativity. How you execute on the creativity is another question.
Yeah.
But the creativity itself, I think, is interesting nonetheless. But it gives people, it lowers the bar to make things look good.
Yeah. So I remember you showed me the pictures, and I thought that the promotion looked almost Barbie-esque, colours and warmth and everything else. And then the shot of the event looked like a meth lab from Breaking Bad.
It's a great story, isn't it?
What?
Brilliant.
What? So, yeah. Careful on your events if they're being promoted by AI, by the way.
Correct.
Okay. Another bit of bad AI, I guess, is wireframing. We do quite a bit of wireframing, obviously, in projects and everything else. There are wireframe GPTs. I decided to have a look across this, right, and see could AI wireframe effectively? Because, there's enough of these videos of, look, you can build a whole app with just 3 lines of AI code. Watch this in 3 minutes. And, of course, it just builds some silly little form that doesn't do anything. We're not quite there yet. I believe we will get to being able to build stuff, by the way, but we're not there yet. Wireframing doesn't work so well. I'm going to show you a picture of this simple wireframe I drew out, asking ChatGPT to replicate, and this is what it gave me. This minefield of I don't know what. I mean, it can't. So the AI stuff, number one, can't do wireframing. It can't do infographics.
No.
It's not quite there yet. So if you are in that area, you want to do something, you can ask it to write a creative brief for you to give to a creative who will build you the infographic or a UX designer for the wireframe. Brilliant at that. Give it a bit of direction. Brilliant at writing a creative brief or a brief for something that you can amend and everything else. Not quite there with end product wireframing yet.
Yeah. Text on image, difficult to do, right?
Yeah.
I mean, we saw about ideogram maybe 6 months ago, was quite good and still okay. GPT's gotten better, obviously. But go back to that Trump example we mentioned previously, one of the telltales of anything in the deep fake area for the elections and the upcoming stuff is often when there's text on a T-shirt or a person's hat or something, because it's always gobbledygook.
Yeah.
Can't do it yet because it's too difficult.
Yeah.
It's difficult to replicate.
Yeah.
So something to keep an eye on. That and hands, obviously, as you mentioned.
Exactly. Okay. Any other good or bad AI from you?
I think that was it for bad AI. I mean, good AI, a lot of the work we're doing, right, is just good, isn't it? It's fascinating stuff. Like I say, around the internal comms pieces, the HR stuff, the surveys we're doing, the tools that we're using to incorporate, but obviously keeping it private as well. That's a big direction of travel between the open source and proprietary stuff. Obviously, we're spending a lot of time with that in that space. So, and advising our clients on what to do and where to put things and how to keep private and stuff. So that's all good. So that's really interesting. Obviously doing some courses. That's really good. Got some really interesting upcoming things with some new clients to talk about soon. And we're doing quite a bit in healthcare, right?
Yeah, exactly. Well, there's a lot, we like healthcare because it's very broad. and we've got a couple of clients in there already. We've done some brilliant work for. We've been able to answer things like, why do their customers buy their product? And what do they like and dislike at a scale they couldn't do before? And then take that and put it directly into SEO and content strategy in a fraction of the time that it would have taken to do traditional research into some sort of campaign execution. So the speed of this stuff in the right areas is really exciting in terms of what we're able to do.
It is.
And those open and closed source models are very interesting as well. We're seeing models like Mistral by smaller teams coming out, these open source models that are performing really well in certain areas, a little more lightweight, some of them. We've obviously had Grok come out, not Elon's Grok.
G3NR8.
Another Grok, just to confuse things.
Yeah. Very fast, isn't it? Really fast.
Super fast. And what they've built is an LPU, a language processing unit, instead of a GPU. So most large language models need a massive GPU to run it because it can run concurrent calculations at the same time. They've built LPUs, so something entirely new, and it runs these large language models super fast. So is this the start of something new? Are we seeing the beginnings of competition to NVIDIA and everybody else, in that whole chip market play? Maybe. Yeah. Maybe we are seeing the beginnings of that. But, talking of naming, we've got Grok and Grok now. Elon's Grok and LPU, super fast Grok.
Yeah.
I mean, naming in AI is a little bit head scratching, right? Hair pulling. You can't pull any more hair out. You've gone through this already. But God, we've seen some bad ones, haven't we? Terrible. Microsoft.
Well, oh my God, Microsoft and Google having a great conversation recently about the God bless Microsoft. Trying to get to grips with how you can actually access the best tools under which license is almost degree level difficulty. It really is. And we've had more than one conversation about this.
I mean, I was totally lost on this.
Copilot, great. Okay, you can do certain things really well. E3 licenses, Viva Engage, which was Yammer licenses, how you can actually put them together. I mean, it's confusing even for if you're in procurement full time. It's practically impossible to get to grips with. Well, I just want to use it. How do I use it? So there's a big problem there. Google had the same thing. I can't even start.
We'll show you
50 different names for the same thing.
Yeah.
Why is it so confusing? But this is interesting though, because brand matters even more so in a scenario where there's so much happening in the space. That's why OpenAI and ChatGPT are so interesting. We've got so much mind share from the beginning by being very singular. We're going after AGI, artificial general intelligence. We've got one product. We're going to build into that product and then build out from enterprise. It's a really simple playbook, but the Googles and the Microsofts, obviously they're part of it. They have a lot to learn from that because I think it's the right approach.
Completely
for me.
AI is already quite complex, and
simplify, or don't use any vowels in your brand name, like generate. But that's good AI.
That is another.
Right?
Yeah,
it's short.
Excellent use. My son did ask me, "Is that actually how you spell generate?" And I said, "No."
He's going to go to school.
No, yeah. I said it's not.
G3NR8.
Blame Roy, I said.
Blame me.
Yeah.
Generally my fault.
Generally your fault, exactly.
Anything else to add? I suppose we should mention we've got a new website coming.
New website coming, yeah.
Lots of interesting, high value outputs there for people to come and grab.
Yep.
Really high value stuff, new stuff, updates, strategy.
If you need an updated policy guide or framework in your organization, you can download it. If you need help with the governance, get in touch. If you want to find out more insights about what is going on in healthcare and AI, we got you covered. Yeah. If you just want to be amused and read about how AI is, going to take your job or not, download the book that Roy wrote because it's pretty good reading, actually. I will say it's probably the best thing you've done since we've started. And you did it right at the beginning. I'm not sure what else you've done since then.
It's the best I've done the last 20 years, to be honest.
Yeah.
And AI wrote most of it. So.
Oh, my God.
Well, the images.
Don't say that.
Steve Jobs, classic from Apple. What have you done for Generate today? I'm going to start using that every day in that slightly lowered voice.
I think you should ask yourself that every day, actually.
Well, I'm looking at the mirror.
Look in the mirror first, right? Okay, good.
So I'm going to do that.
Okay.
I think that's the pod.
That's the pod. We'll see you next time. when we will be in these seats and not the other way around because it didn't work.
Well, we'll see. We'll see.
All right.
Next time.